So here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to watch a bad cross-examination, and we're going to repair it by wanting you to keep track of the bullet points of this person's cross-examination line. That's what we're going to do. Then we're going to all practice and observe asking and answering principles of cross-examination. Okay? So start with, here we go. You've got to keep track of what happens here and help fix it.
Within the recorder's office. Is that correct, as opposed to being in some other building somewhere?
Yes.
During your tenure in the computer department at the recorder's office, has the recorder's office had photocopy machines?
Objection.
Any photocopy machine?
When you say photocopy machine, what do you mean?
Let me make sure I understand your question. You don't have an understanding of what a photocopy machine is?
No, I want to make sure that I answer your question correctly. Dave, I'll object to the tone of the question. You make it sound like it's unbelievable to you that he wouldn't know what the definition of a photocopy machine is.
I didn't ask him to define it. I asked him if he had it.
When you say photocopy machine, what do you mean?
Let me be clear. The term photocopying machine is so ambiguous that you can't picture in your mind what a photocopy machine is in an office setting?
I just want to make sure I answer your question correctly.
Well, we'll find out. If you can say yes or no, I can do follow-ups. But it seems, if you really don't know in an office setting what a photocopying machine is, I'd like the Ohio Supreme Court to hear you say so.
I just want to make sure I answer your question correctly. There's different types of photocopiers. And
you're speaking instead. You're not on your own. This guy is.
I understand that, but I understand what his objection is. You want him to answer the question. I don't think it's fair.
It's not fair.
It's not a fair question. A photocopy machine can be a machine that uses photostatic technology, that uses xerographic technology, that uses scanning technology.
I don't care what kind of technology it uses. Has your offices... We don't have technocrats on the Ohio Supreme Court. We've got people like me, general guys or gals. I'm not really very interested in what the technology element of it is. I want to know.
That's what's at issue in the case.
Not in my judgment. Do you have photocopy machines at the recorder's office? If you don't know what that means in an office setting, please tell the court you don't know what that means in an office setting to have a photocopy machine.
I would like to answer your question to the best of my ability.
I'm asking you to answer that.
So if you could explain to me what you mean by...
I'm not going to do that, because I want to establish on the record that you really don't know what it is. I want to establish that. Now, do you know what it is, or do you not know what it is? Do you understand what that term means in common parlance or not?
Common parlance?
Common language.
I'm sorry. I didn't know what that meant. I understand that there are photocopy machines, and there are different types of them, just like there
are... Are there any in the recorder's office?
Some of them under gas power, some of them under electric power, and I'm asking if you could help me out by explaining what you mean by photocopy machine.
That's a great point.
Instead of trying to make me feel stupid.
If you feel stupid, it's not because I'm making you feel that way.
Objection! Self-confidence, and I have no problem.
I don't think you're stupid.
I don't have any problem answering the question.
I think you're playing games with me.
Dave, the word photocopying is at issue in this case, and you're asking him whether something is or isn't a photocopy machine, which is a legal conclusion.
This isn't a patent case. There's no statute that defines where I'm asking him to define technology for me. I want to find out from a layperson's perspective, not from an engineer's perspective, not from a technician's perspective, but from... I have an idea. How about this? Have you ever heard the term photocopier or photocopy used in the recorder's office by anyone.
Photocopy? I'm sure in the time I've been there, someone has used the term.
Have you ever heard them use it in referencing a particular device or machine within the recorder's office? By way of example, can you photocopy that for me? That's an example of office parlance.
That particular terminology I've not witnessed.
What was the context that you heard the term photocopy used in the recorder's office?
I'm sure it's been used. I didn't say I remember a specific instance.
All right. You have a general understanding that people have used the term photocopy within the recorder's office in terms of something that could be done there. Is that true?
I'm sure it's been used. I don't remember a specific instance or how it was used. I'm sure it's been used.
And is it fair to say that it's been used in terms of being able to copy one piece of paper onto another piece of paper using a machine? No? Not sure of that?
I'm sure it's been used. I don't recall a specific instance in which it was.
Do you have a secretary?
No.
Does anybody there have a secretary?
Yes.
Have you ever heard a secretary use the term photocopy?
No.
Have you ever? Do you have machines there? Or I can put in a paper document, push a button or two, and out will come copies of that paper document, also on paper. Do you have such a machine?
Yes, sir.
What do you call that machine?
Xerox.
This side is actually, this is pretty great stuff. You just have to for a second. You have to for a second. Then we'll get back to our lesson. They take these scripts and from real scenes and then put actors to them.
Tell me about your poultry business. How long have you been in the poultry business?
30 years.
And what kind of items you raise?
I raise red-ringed pies and black straight golden cube chickens that come out of Ireland. I have 2 breeds of chicken. They haven't been listed with the National Poultry Program as complete breeds of chickens, but the world recognizes them. They're Sterling Blacks and Sterling Piles. Pile, P-I-L-E? Yes, sir. Pile means white.
Do you have a separate business that you incorporated where you conduct this business, or is this something you do just in your own name?
Sir, I had a vision back when I was a child. Nobody else in this world could recognize myself. I know where Osama bin Laden is today. I know the cure for SARS today. I know many, many things in this world other people don't recognize, don't understand, don't know. Simply because I followed the chicken. That sounds stupid. Sounds unrealistic to me. You think it's childish. But the national bird is the eagle. The international bird is the chicken. Chicken will carry you down the darkest alleys of the world safely. The eagle will take you down that road by yourself to keep you killed. The chicken will take you down there and sleep you in the attics of Muslims. He'll sleep you in the hotels of kings and in the palaces of kings and queens. I lived with the mayor of Djibouti. I lived with the daughter of the advisor of the president of the Philippines. I've been to Kuala Lumpur. If I sat here, I'd hate to make him have to write the places I've been for the chips. Bluetooth, bottle rack, CD, y'all Mac. Wait a minute, you know what I'm saying? I've been around the world 6 times on the back of a chicken.
Some of this stuff.
I didn't get none of that.
Something in mind.
I got that part.
Alright, back to cross-examination. How can we have fixed his cross-examination?
The photocopy.
What?
The photocopy, right?
Yeah, the photocopy. Not the chicken, the photocopy.
You can't show reference, it's inside the world.
But who can actually fix it for me? It took him 4.5 minutes to ask some question other than the first question, which was, do you have a photocopy? Yes?
You should just define the term photocopy to the poor guy and then make it past it.
Let's assume he didn't want to.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, he ended up defining it anyway, throughout the...
As a picture, but not a definition, but yes.
Because like you said, you have a machine that you put a piece of paper in,
Yes,
and
and
now
outcomes.
comes that.
Yes.
And then what do you call that?
What do you call it? Yes. Who wrote down the actual bullet points, though? I'm not, like, that's all interesting, but I don't know exactly how he did it.
I got down, do you have photocopy machines in the office? That's what he was trying to determine at first. And then from on there, he went on to have they use the word photocopy
Yep.
in the office at some point. And then I didn't get anything after that.
I put, do you photocopy things? It's like a final question.
Okay. What did you say?
The guy answering the question, his only concern was that he wanted to answer it correctly. You could just say whatever you say will be correct.
Yes. There are a lot of ways to make peace there that the lawyer chose not to do.
Right.
The biggest one
wrong
being
answer.
5 minutes of saying the same thing. So here's what I wrote down. I have a bullet point list. Do you have a photocopy machine? What do you mean by that? Well, have you ever heard the term used? I'm sure I've heard it used. In reference to a machine? Well, yeah. Can you tell me, for example, what machine? Well, I can't recall a specific time. Well, for example, using the term, can you photocopy that to me? What were they referring to? I am sure I've heard the term, I can't remember a specific time it was used. But it is something that can be done there. See, we've actually stacked up a little. Yes, photocopying is something that can be done at the coroner's office. Okay. And then he gets nowhere there, so he adapts to a new line of questions. Do you have a secretary? No. Does anyone have a secretary? Yes. And then his last question, which finally gets him gold, is he makes a picture of a copier. Something you put in pieces of paper, push a couple of buttons, and out come other pieces of paper with the same thing from that piece of paper on the other pieces of paper. What do you call that machine? I'm not saying this is a brilliant cross-examination. It's not. I'm saying that the form, this is what the definition of thinking on your feet is to me, is when you are asking a question and you don't get the answer you expect and you sub-bullet point. You immediately, in your mind, pop out, oh, so he didn't agree to this big thing. Let me divide it. Classical rhetoricians call this division. How many pieces is that? And those are my next questions. And we're trying to break our questions down into smaller, bite-sized pieces and adapt and change and create pictures. This is how cross-examination ought to proceed. And if he had done it the way he actually did it, without spending 4.5 minutes, this could have taken 45 seconds. If we hadn't gotten mad. Okay, let's turn it around, let's go. And we are going to build up from basic to advanced cross-examination on this side of the board. Okay, I will start with one asking principle, which is you ask leading questions. Who can help me understand what a leading question is?
Leading question is if they answer it with their answer. You're leading them to answer in a specific way. You're basically
What specific ways?
the way you want them to, obviously, to agree with you.
You're close.
Yes or no?
Yes, no, I don't know. You're leading them to a yes, no, or I don't know answer. Here it is closed-ended. Here's what debaters do that is ineffective. This is a yes or no question. Yes or no questions are yes or no questions because they are phrased in such a way that the only logical response is yes or no. If the person is struggling to figure out how to answer that yes or no, the question's probably too big, and it's not reasonable to call it yes or no. So how do you phrase a yes or no question? You start with, would you agree that insert claim? Question mark. There are other phrases you can use. Isn't it true that? Claim. Question mark. If you have two claims, it's an unreasonable question. One claim. One little piece at a time. Yes?
What if they try to make it portray that they don't know how to answer your yes or no question, just waste time, and what will you do?
You'll see it happen as I'll get up here and experience that. It's very easy to break that down. So I want the first victim. Who would like to come ask the first line of questions? You have to have a bullet point list that I assigned you to make to do it. Okay, come on up. We'll work on our stage management at the same time. Okay, so I finished speaking my speech. Here comes, he's going to ask me some questions.
Would you agree that liberty within reason is a good thing?
Within reason, of course.
Also, would you agree that all people are different?
Yes.
And do you agree that we want to benefit the people as a whole?
Who's we?
Whoever, us in this debate specifically. Assuming we have control of the benefits of the people, do you have the interest of the people in mind?
Yes. Okay, and now what are you going to use that to do to build your next speech?
My value is liberty. Our value is liberty. And in her first convention, she mentions a point of all people are different, which kind of adds the division between the individual private property rights and public needs. And also for benefiting the people, then that kind of also could be a potential value.
I'm okay with it, but I don't think that we've agreed to anything that hurts me or helps me yet. Because people being different, I need to see how that's related to the topic. Of course, people are different. I want somebody to go deeper. Whose case is this?
Mine. Let me.
Yep.
Come
Let's
on.
start. You use the question. Thank I'm just going to read it. I want you to just cross it out. Whatever you want to do. Okay? Would someone mind grabbing the stage lights for me? They're the two white.
Would you agree that peace is important to a society?
Peace is important.
Do you think that security is important for the government to provide?
Yes.
Would you agree that medical facilities should be provided by the government?
No.
Why not?
We're going to put an ask and answering principle up here. I call it the mysterious no. Ask me the question that I said no to again, and let me show you what most debaters do.
Do you think that medical facilities should be provided for the government?
No, I think that private organizations are perfectly capable of setting up medical establishments. Now, the reason that it feels unreasonable for me to answer that is because I gave a long explanation in her cross-examination time. And a lot of times when you say, no, because we actually don't really listen to what you're saying because we're too concerned with, it doesn't seem like that was a legitimate thing for you to say at that time. And by simply saying no, you put the ball back in her court to ask why. And if she asks why, 3 reasons. First of all, and I start actually explaining because I give myself a license to. So by actually saying fewer things, the mysterious no, either she's going to say why, or what's her other option?
Ignore it.
Ignore it and move on. In which case I have seeded doubt in my audience's mind. And that is enough for me. But the audience saw in my eyes that I disagreed, and they're curious as to why. That is all. So the mysterious no is our friend. She asked me why. I will tell you why. Because I think hospitals don't need to be run by the government. It's a private institution.
Do you believe that long lifespan is a good thing?
Yes.
Should members of society give up some liberty to have security?
Reveal your opinion by saying, would you agree?
Would you agree that members of a society must give up some liberty to have security?
Yes. Do you see how that's different? When she said, should people in society give up some liberties to have security? I actually don't know what to say. And I don't really care. And back to your point earlier, I don't think this is an area of controversy. I don't mind agreeing with her. I truly don't know what to say because she asked me an open-ended question. When you say should, you don't reveal your opinion. And as the cross-examiner, you want to be constantly being the one, you're speaking to the judge. Wouldn't you agree with me that you're probably going to have to give up some liberties to gain security from society? Now, you're the one informing and educating. Don't give me that privilege. You do it as the questioner. It's just a very subtle thing. Wouldn't you agree with me that creates the claim? Keep going.
Would you agree that private property rights are not absolute?
Private property rights are not absolute. Can you tell me what you mean by that?
In an individual in society, they do not have absolute control over doing anything they possibly want.
I'm struggling to see something complete there.
Like, do they have the right to do something illegal on their property?
I guess not,
So then they don't have absolute private property rights.
if that's what you mean by that.
Alright. Would you agree?
Was what I just did fair? Why was it fair? Right, so I did not agree to an esoteric statement that I can't think of anything. And I saw on all your faces that you could not think of anything either. But when she goes down a road and says what she means by it, I'm okay to agree with her on that. And that feels reasonable and right. Keep going.
Do you think that, or would you agree that a greater number of people are more important than a fewer number of people?
I guess so.
Do you, or would you agree that a society should work together?
Again, that's just too broad for me.
Okay. Do you believe that transportation, like roadways, is a responsibility of the government?
It doesn't have to be.
No further questions.
Okay, now, I want you all to see what we talked about earlier from the persuasion line. She actually got me to agree in several spots, and in a few spots, we didn't agree. But now she knows where to invest. What are you going to spend your next speech time talking about?
We're going to talk about how, like, the long life, well, my value was peace. So I want to bring up that peace is important to a society getting along, and if a society gets along, they can do that better by having roadways to get to hospitals, and those public needs create peace of mind in people, which creates a better society.
Can someone in this room identify the crux she established for her next speech? Okay,
Responsibility of the government.
what do you?
You have a different idea of what responsibilities of the government are, so she, in her next speech, is going to try to present reasons why the responsibilities of the government are on the first side, the importance of them,
Specifically?
like having roads and
Good.
hospitals.
That is the crux. The crux of this debate, she should come up in the next speech and say, my opponent and I both agree on the importance of lots of people, on the importance of long life, and on the importance of health. Where we disagree is it the government's job to look for the needs of the whole, medical facilities and infrastructure, roadways, and lifespan? I will show you in this speech that that is the role of government, not in that private property and individuals can never meet those ends effectively. That's what this debate is about. And I would spend the entirety of my next speech, if I were her, on that issue. Because you see, if she wins that, if she convinces you that it's a responsibility of the government, medicine, roads, long life, and she'll win the debate based on what we've agreed to in cross-examination. That's very successful cross-examination to happen, to be able to walk away and say, that's what the debate is now. You didn't recognize